What if past, present, and future all exist at once? If you think that's crazy, then get ready to have your mind blown even more. Because that's just one of the ideas proposed by some of the world's leading scientists, who are trying to explain the nature of our reality. What they've come up with is so weird, it sounds like something from a science fiction movie. So what does it mean for us regular folks? Are we living in a never-ending present moment? Is there such a thing as free will? Or are all our decisions predetermined? And most importantly, how can we use this knowledge to live better lives? Well, let's dive into the fascinating world of quantum mechanics and find out. Have you ever looked at a clock and wondered why time seems to be passing so slowly? Or maybe you've sat on a beach watching the waves crash over and over again and thought about how fleeting life is. We all experience time every day, but have you ever stopped to think about what time really is? According to Einstein, time is an illusion. He said that only the present moment is real. The past is gone, and the future hasn't happened yet. But what does that really mean? Is the past and the future just as real as the present? What if they're all equally real? That would mean that time isn't linear. It's more like a big wheel, where the past, present, and future are all connected. This idea might sound a bit strange, but stick with me because it's going to get even weirder. You see, according to Einstein, the universe doesn't have a memory. Everything that happens is caused by everything that has happened before. Every atom, star, and galaxy is in its particular place at a particular time because of the laws of physics and the initial conditions of the universe. Given the same starting conditions, the universe would evolve in the same way every time. In other words, the future is already set. All we do is live it out. But there's a problem with this idea. Humans need to have free will. Otherwise, what's the point of anything? It's called the free will problem, and it's been keeping philosophers up at night for centuries. But Albert isn't the only one who had thoughts about this. There are many other mystics who had similar ideas. For example, the great Indian mystic Osho says that there's no past, no future, only the present moment. And the Tibetan Book of the Dead talks about how the dead don't go anywhere. They just become part of the earth, water, air, and fire. But these are just words. What does it mean, really? In order to understand this, we must look at the subatomic level. Now, here's where things get really weird. According to quantum mechanics, the smallest particles in the universe, such as electrons and photons, don't follow the same laws of physics as the big things we see around us. They exhibit wave-like properties and can be in two places at once. This is known as superposition. But when we try to measure these particles, their wave-like properties collapse, and they seem to be in only one place at a time. Some scientists believe that this is because the very act of observation changes the state of the particle. However, others argue that this is just an illusion caused by our own limitations in understanding the universe. What if it's not an illusion? What if there's actually no such thing as a smallest particle? What if everything is made of vibrating energy? This idea is supported by some of the world's leading scientists, including Nobel Prize winner Wolfgang Pauli and theoretical physicist David Bohm. They both believed that the seemingly smallest particles are actually tiny universes unto themselves, containing their own past, present, and future. These tiny universes are like miniature versions of our own reality, each with its own laws of physics and fundamental constants. Just as our universe began with the Big Bang, each of these subatomic universes also began with a Big Bang. And just as our universe is expanding, these subatomic universes are also expanding. However, unlike our universe, these subatomic universes don't expand infinitely. Instead, they reach a critical size and then begin to collapse. As they collapse, the energy within them condenses and heats up until it reaches unimaginable temperatures. At this point, the laws of physics as we know them break down, and the universe enters a new phase of existence. This process repeats itself over and over again, creating a never-ending cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Here's where things get really interesting. Just as our universe went from a tiny subatomic particle to a massive expanse of stars and galaxies, these subatomic universes also went through a similar process. This means that the universe is constantly creating itself anew from tiny vibrating energy packets. So what does this mean for us? Does it mean that we're immortal? Not Kit. You see, While these subatomic universes are in a constant state of flux, the larger universe they're contained in remains relatively stable. That is, because the forces that govern the behavior of large objects like planets and people are much stronger than the forces that govern the behavior of subatomic particles. So although the universe is constantly changing on the subatomic level, it appears to be relatively stable on the level of everyday experience. But that doesn't mean that we're not affected by the changes on the subatomic level. In fact, every single thing that we experience, from the food we eat to the air we breathe, is the result of the behavior of subatomic particles. Even our thoughts and emotions are the product of chemical reactions in our bodies that are ultimately driven by the behavior of subatomic particles. So while we may not be immortal in the sense that we woe and live forever in our current form, we are connected to the universe in a much deeper way than we might think. Our lives are intimately intertwined with the behavior of subatomic particles and the larger cycles of birth, death, and rebirth that occur on the subatomic level. But there's even more to this story. You see, these subatomic universes aren't just made of energy. They're also made of information. This information is encoded in the quantum properties of the particles, such as their spin and polarization. This information is then processed by the particles as they interact with each other, much like a computer processes data. Some scientists believe that this information is the key to understanding the nature of consciousness, and that it is this processing of information that gives rise to our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. This idea is still highly controversial, but it's gaining traction in the scientific community. If it turns out to be true, it could revolutionize our understanding of the universe and our place in it. But in the meantime, we can take comfort in the fact that we're all connected to the universe in a much deeper way than we might think. By understanding the principles of quantum mechanics, we can gain a greater appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things and the delicate balance that makes life possible. We can also find comfort in the fact that the universe is constantly renewing itself, even on the smallest subatomic level. This gives us hope that no matter how dark things may seem, there's always the potential for new life and new beginnings. So what does all this mean for us? How should we live our lives, knowing that we're all connected to the universe and that the future is already set? One way to think about it is that, since the future is already set, there's no point in worrying about it. We can't change it anyway. This doesn't mean that we should just sit back and do nothing. Rather, it means that we should focus on the present moment and make the most of it. We should appreciate the beauty of the natural world around us and cherish our relationships with other people. We should also strive to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be and to make a positive impact on the world around us. Remember, we're all connected to the universe, and our actions affect not only ourselves, but also the people around us and the world we live in. So here's a thought experiment. Imagine you could travel back in time and meet your younger self. What advice would you give yourself? Would you tell yourself to take risks, to pursue your dreams, or to be more present in the moment? Maybe you'd remind yourself of the mistakes you've made in the past and warn yourself to avoid them. Whatever you would say, it's likely that your younger self wouldn't listen. After all, how often do we pay attention to the advice of others? But here's the thing. You don't need to go back in time to meet your younger self. You can do it right now. Right now, you have the opportunity to be the younger version of yourself. You can choose to take risks, pursue your dreams, and be present in the moment. You can also avoid the mistakes you've made in the past and learn from them. It's up to you. So remember, time is an illusion. Eternity is now. Live in the present moment and make the most of it. Don't worry about the future. It's already set. And don't dwell in the past. It's gone forever. Focus on the now and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Be bold, take risks, and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is just another excuse to learn and grow. Love deeply, laugh often, and cherish the people in your life. They're the ones who will be with you until the end. So go out there and live your life to the fullest. The universe is vast and mysterious, and there's so much to explore. Don't waste your time worrying about the past or the future. Embrace the present moment and all the opportunities it holds. Who knows what adventures await you? What discoveries will you make? What challenges will you overcome? The possibilities are endless. So don't wait. Start living your life today.